Hello and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another video. If you are new to this channel, my name is Frank Zhu, and I'm a college professor teaching sociology, history, and philosophy. I'm also an award-winning landscape photographer. You may already know that the Buddha was the founder of Buddhism, one of the 5 biggest religions in the world. Even though you don't know much about him, you must have seen his statues or their pictures that are placed at every Buddhist temple in countries such as Thailand, Japan, China, or a few other Asian countries. He is usually posed or depicted as a big guy sitting in a meditation posture with a big fat belly, long ears, and half-closed eyes. The statues or the pictures may be different, but all of them convey the same message, that the Buddha was a very wise man, always in deep thinking. How wise was he? What made him a great thinker? Our story started with a boy born into a royal family in present-day Nepal over 2,500 years ago. We are not exactly sure in which year he was born, but most historians agree that he was born in 563 BCE. The father named the baby boy Siddhartha Gautama. When Gautama was 1 year old, the royal family threw a big celebration party to which many wise men and prophets were invited. When asked by the father what the small boy would grow up to be, one of the prophets said, "Your son would either stay at home and become a wonderful king, or he would live and become an extraordinary religious leader." Being the king himself, the father of course wanted his son to succeed him as the next king. So the father decided that the boy should stay inside the palace, living a safe and comfortable life away from any hardships and misery of normal life. As he was growing up, everything he was given was the best, and he had no idea of hunger, poverty, or sickness. He got married and had children and was about to succeed his father as the new king. When he was about 29 years old, however, the curiosity about the outside world drove Gautama to sneak outside his palace one day and had a look at the real world. Everything he saw shocked him. Very old people with wrinkles, very sick people who couldn't walk, people with mental disease, even a corpse on the ground. "What is going on in this world? Why are they suffering?" he asked. When his servants told him that what he saw was the real world, he decided that he couldn't live in the palace anymore. He must find out why people were suffering and how to get away from it all. That was the beginning of his journey that led him to become a great thinker. According to Buddhist traditions, he left his wife and children and went alone to a mountain, starting his spiritual quest. Day after day and night after night, he engaged himself in deep thinking, searching for answers and solutions to the many problems he had seen in real life. One day, he came upon a big tree and got attracted by its beauty. He sat down under the tree and started thinking. Why is the natural world so beautiful, but the human world is full of misery? Under the tree, he fell into a state of meditation, day in and day out. According to Buddhist traditions, 49 days of meditation later, he awoke to find the truth occurring to him. The truths became known as the Four Noble Truths, which are the cornerstones of Buddhism. Number one, every human being is suffering in this world. Number two, suffering comes from desires. Number three, there is an end to suffering. Number four, there is a path to escape from suffering. The realization of these Four Noble Truths earned him the title, the Buddha. You may have noticed that whenever the Buddha is mentioned, there is always an article, the, in front of it. The word Buddha literally means enlightened one or awakened one. In the eyes of his followers, he was neither God nor prophet, but a human being who awakened to find the truths of life, who got the true understanding of the human world. The tree that he was sitting under became known as the Bodhi tree, literally meaning the path to enlightenment. The time period of 49 days he spent meditating became an expression in the Chinese language, frequently used in Chinese folk tales. When Chinese people say that doing something will take you 7 times 7 equals 49 days, they are talking about a long and unspecified amount of time, which often involves tremendous efforts. For me, the major reason why the Buddha was considered as a great thinker was that his thinking was practical and to the point, rather than abstract metaphysical concepts. His thought process was similar to that of a medical doctor. First, he recognized the symptom, which was that every human being was suffering. Secondly, the Buddha diagnosed the problem, which was that suffering arose from human attachment to and desire for those things that only existed temporarily. Human beings felt miserable because they grew dissatisfied with those impermanent things. Thirdly, like a doctor, the Buddha gave explanations for the symptoms. He tried to explain to people that they needed not worry too much, because there was a way to escape from suffering, which was to understand the causes of suffering and detach from desires and cultivate wisdom to understand nature and the human world. Finally, like a doctor, he gave prescriptions, which was ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom as the way to achieve liberation. Material possession is never enough. Money only makes you want more money. Greed will only make your life miserable. Only when you have the wisdom of knowing that nothing in this world is permanent will you stop desiring for anything and therefore liberate yourself from suffering. The Four Noble Truths is not without criticisms. One of mine, for example, is that it overemphasizes the idea of suffering and that it is not universally applicable. After all, there are people who enjoy life and experience pleasure after fulfilling a desire. Besides, the Buddha himself lived comfortably in the palace and only realized the suffering of ordinary people later in his life. But the Buddha was more than a medical doctor. He was also a philosopher. He emphasized that everything was constantly changing and nothing was permanent, including the self. To understand the changing nature of everything, wisdom was required, and wisdom could only be achieved through right understanding, right thought, and right mindfulness, all of which could be achieved by way of meditation. It was meditation that made people experience true reality and gained insight into suffering. Although the Buddha was a deep philosophical thinker, he was fundamentally the founder of a new religion. As the enlightened one, the Buddha began to preach his new understanding, teaching people how to realize enlightenment for themselves. He traveled on foot throughout northern India and answered questions from everyone. Obviously, the practical nature of his philosophical thinking helped to spread his teachings. Soon, he gathered around him a big band of disciples who were known as monks. The monks would learn his messages and in turn taught them as they traveled. For the next 400 years, his teachings were passed down by oral tradition, memorized by monks, one generation after another, until they were written down and became collectively known as Buddhism. According to historians, the first Buddhist books were written down from around the 1st century BCE to the 3rd century CE. Buddhism is essentially a religion because of its principal belief in reincarnation. The word reincarnation means rebirth or afterlife. The idea of reincarnation actually originated from Hinduism, which had been born in India much earlier. But Buddhists borrowed the idea. Buddhists believe that there is a cycle of life, death, and rebirth, which is known as samsara. For Buddhists, when a person dies, he or she is not really dying. He or she is just going to another world. What kind of the new world he or she enters is dependent on karma, which is another important idea of Buddhism, meaning what you do in this life determines what you will be in the next life. To put it simply, if you behave well in this life, you will be reborn to a better world. But if you behave badly in this world, your afterlife will be worse. The idea of reincarnation, in my opinion, played an important role in maintaining social order and stability. It taught people to accept their fate without resistance, and it acted as a deterrent to disruptive behavior. It also provided justification for existing hierarchies, which had rich people on the top. For this reason, critics argue that religion was only an invention by the rich and served the interests of the rich. What do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts. For those who are not Buddhists, including myself, the Buddha is considered as a great thinker with deep practical wisdom about the true nature of reality. His message was peace, compassion, and inner transformation. His pursuit for spiritual awakening and liberation from the sufferings of life continues to inspire people worldwide today. Well, that is all for today. But before I go, let me tell you about a superstition that some Chinese people have. That is, when you need a good piece of luck for something, go touch the foot of a Buddha's statue. Well, if you happen to be a student, give it a go before you take an exam tomorrow. As always, thank you for watching this video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.